The following video was going to have the probability of one of two different sounds in the background, not of my choice. Rage gaming from Call of Duty, or The Office playing from another room. I apologize if either of those sounds make their way into the video, that is not my intent, but I hope that I can talk loud enough in order to still make it enjoyable. So, enjoy the video. Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks, and a lot of things have changed throughout 2020 for social interactions, but also for a lot of how we obtain different things, and one of the biggest changes that I've noticed was about the LEGO stores. The retail stores have actually modified their layout inside for the most part, so that they can make it a lot more safe environment and keep everyone very healthy and clean. Now, a part of that process had to do with taking away some interactive areas, such as the building tables that are traditionally in LEGO stores, any of the display models that could be posed against and taken photos with in stores. But also I've noticed that the Build-A-Minifigure section and the Pick-A-Brick wall, while still available, have been changed or reduced in some way. What I've noticed over the past couple months especially is that the Build-A-Minifigure section has basically been pre-assembled so that the packs are already available, they're already clean parts, and only handled by a couple of people in order to be distributed and still get something to enjoy. And I know this because I've actually talked with my local LEGO store employees, asking about it out of curiosity how the parts were handled. So it was only done through the employees themselves in order to assemble the figures, put them into packs, and then still offer them by the register. So hopefully that process is still available for you in order to get some unique minifigure parts. I'll be reviewing 3 different packs of them today from 3 different periods, and we'll see what I like, and hopefully you can find those parts as well. So the first pack I'd like to talk about is actually from September of 2020. And the funny thing about this one, as most people know for Build-A-Minifigure packs, is that you would be able to assemble up to 3 minifigures with 1 accessory each and obtain it for $10. This one offered 4. So I don't know if that was a mistake or if they were just adding a bonus figure. I think some other packs may have had that at that time as well, so maybe it wasn't a mistake, but it was still a nice gesture either way, and I really do enjoy what's in here, so we're going to take a closer look at that right now. There may be a good chance that some of these parts may have been released before from not only the Build-A-Minifigure section at the LEGO stores, or could have been in other LEGO products in the past. So kindly let me know in the comments if you have seen these before, if you can reference these somewhere else. I would be interested in that if I do bring it up as a new part in here, and mostly talking from my personal experience that I haven't seen it before. Just wanted to clear the air on there before we go forward. So from what I can tell, all of the torsos in these minifigures are brand new, or at least for my eyes. I haven't seen them before in the Build-A-Minifigure section of my local LEGO store, or in any other LEGO products up to this point. It is possible that maybe the right torso that's in red has been featured in Ninjago. It kind of reminds me of Ninjago, but still stands enough on its own that it looks pretty good. What I do like about these figures is there's a very good combination of parts, so they kind of feel like their own character. They embrace all the parts surrounding them to make something thematic, something that cohesively works together. The only one I would say is the weakest on that prospect is this one right here with the puppy in space torso. I'm not entirely sure what it's going for, but I could still craft a narrative around that, and I think even as these are in particular for this combination, these would be fun to include in different LEGO scenes, vignettes, and might be fun to even make a character based off of them, like actually doing stuff instead of just being a background detail. One thing I do want to point out here is that they do have some torso printing along the backs of them, kind of plain for the 2 in the middle, but I will take it. Even though it's just a couple of lines or some drapery, I'm okay with that instead of it just being blank. I do like the corset tying detail on the back of the dress here, and I'm not sure if this piece has been in lavender before, but it feels new to me, and it's very welcomed. The reason why I think the one on the right is from Ninjago is because if I recall correctly, that's either a sign for Kai or for Nia. I could be mistaken about that, but as it is, it's not taking it over too much and still feels like its own thing. So I do like these parts as they are, with the combinations of faces and legs that they go with, and the accessories fit for the most part. I think my favorite of them has to be the businessman towards this side because he reminds me a lot of Charlie Chaplin, a classic comedian. And the only thing that's missing is to swap out the face and make a little mustache on him, and I think it fits very well if you wanted to make something based on a real person. But otherwise, I think it would still be fun to fit that within different city themes or city landscapes and whatever, just playing around, having some fun. Almost kind of reminds me of Singing in the Rain with the coiled up umbrella, but that's just me. I know a little bit of classic movies. Every once in a while I share about that, but I think it's still a good array of parts, and the fact that I got an extra figure, whether or not by fluke, is still pretty good and valuable. I do believe there's a second face on this figure on the back, so I do like getting alternate faces, just having more expressions to go from, so that's pretty nice there, and nothing else for the rest of them here. But still, some nice pieces to use and to have a couple multiples around. For the next batch of minifigures, this is from October of 2020, with a couple of new prints, a couple new recolors, and some pieces that used to be available and are just nice to see fluctuating again in the Build-A-Minifigure section. So notable examples of brand new parts for me, whether it's a recolor or a print, would be most of the outfit for the Tiger Girl on the right, which has a very nice costumed look. I believe the face has been used in one of the People Part packs, the Fun Fair, if I remember correctly. So to see the completed scene with the entire figure, and she does have a tail on her, is really, really enjoyable. I'm glad that they turned what was a simple face painting print into an entire costumed minifigure. It's always fun to see minifigures in costumes. And for the one on the middle, it seems like a new torso to me, which is actually a pretty interesting design, having the skull on a chain, there's a little dress look or robe look to him, and kind of an interesting symbol for his belt. I really do like how everything came together for that. Really stands out on its own, doesn't have to associate with too many other things. You could use it multiple ways. The face on him, even though it's kind of blocked by the hat here, which has been a recolor from a witch hat, and also has the hair attached onto there. The face, I'm not sure if that's been available before, but still looks pretty neat. I still like the way that looks, kind of inquisitive, can be used in all different kinds of minifigures from what I can see and what I can think up. It doesn't have to be just for a wizard like it is in this example. I think it would look pretty well anywhere. I also do appreciate that there is some back printing on the torsos, especially for things like the Tiger Girl. Could have easily gone without it, just being orange. But it does continue the pattern very well across the back. And as I mentioned before, she does have a tail piece. And even the fact that, yeah, she doesn't have anything printed on her legs, but I don't think it's really too necessary when everything else is covered very well. There is printing on the back of the torso for the wizard, which is very respectful, especially when you have like an accessory like a necklace that's usually draped around front and back. I do like seeing that from minifigure torso pieces, that it continues appropriately. As for the figure on the left, it doesn't really offer a lot of new pieces. I believe some of these have been used previously in the collectible minifigure series, but it's good to see them once again because it's been a couple of years, and every so often you'll see collectible minifigure pieces thrown into a Build-A-Minifigure section, and it's just kind of a welcoming thing and usually a good opportunity to get those parts again. I do always like this pumpkin piece that was introduced in Scooby-Doo. Very easy to use as just a standard pumpkin if you wanted to. And I think there's like a haunted hayride or something that recently came out that also offers that, or a very similar piece. They just have a standard minifigure skull head underneath, which, yeah, this could work well as, again, someone in costume, even without the pumpkin head, and would just be a big mask on him. So I think it's pretty cool. And having a giant bone to carry around as well. Again, a good combination of parts, some new things in here that I really enjoy, and honestly could be very useful for other minifigures in the future. I also do like that the Atlantis Trident is still circulating. I think the last time I saw that around was the Ursula figure from Disney, so every once in a while seeing that is still just kind of fun for me, enjoying the Atlantis theme. Oh boy, now we're talking. So these were actually picked up in November of 2020 at the LEGO store, the Build-A-Minifigure section, and from what I understand, there's a couple of interesting parts in here that are kind of new, but also going to be released later on. So for one thing, the minifigure on the left, the child-looking figure, has a very nicely knit sweater that has printing all the way around. I'll move the tile in just a moment, and I say all the way around because it's on the arms, it's on the back, it's very nicely patterned all the way through. I really do appreciate all that effort. So I'm just going to move the tile out of the way after getting a quick look at it for that little green and red ribboning. And then if I move that, yep, it's even on the other arm as well. I think it looks pretty good, and some people have been eagle-eyed and observed this was going to be in some of the Chinese New Year sets coming out in 2021. That's pretty cool. I actually surprised that they would have released it in the Build-A-Minifigure first, maybe because of delays throughout this year. It just turned up that way, but I still welcome it either way, and it's still appropriate for the holiday season. You could see the figure as male or female. I don't think it looks too much in either direction to be considered. And the fact that you just have minifigures, you can change parts around just like you can change anything in a Lego set. It's not a big deal. So I think it looks pretty good, even as is. Also, short teal legs. Yes, I'm a big fan of the color teal reintroduced in Lego a couple years ago. And every time I see it, it just brings me a little more joy. So, moving on to the Santa figure, I'm not entirely sure if this one has been used before. That's the only one I'm a bit questionable on, because the torso printing looks very similar to ones from the Collectible Minifigure series, to the City Advent calendars. The face, possibly as well, from previous Advent calendars. I'm not entirely sure on that front. And if I recall correctly, the white bag that he's carrying has not been in that color, or not in that color often. Usually it's in like a dark tan or nougat kind of color, sometimes even red. And I think this is very nice. I think it still fits for the character. I think it's still a useful piece on its own in a white bag. You could use it as like a trash bag or a grocery bag. I think there are a lot of different uses that you can have it for, even outside of the holiday season. I will take a moment and just move the beard out of the way, then get a better look at the torso in full, and also the face. So you can let me know again if it has been part of minifigures before, or is a brand new printed element. And then we move on to the right, which is also a very exciting thing to see, a female elf. Not that they haven't been female before, but this one more distinctively because of the pink color. And honestly, pink could work for just about anyone, but for this one they chose it to be female, and I think it looks very nice. I do like that there is still green mixed within it, so it still has a festive look to it. It's not entirely coated in pink. You got some lime green on the shoulders, as well as on the belt. You have the dark green for the pants. I think it looks pretty good. And as far as I can tell, nope. Oh, there we go. That was actually literally a surprise to me. I just never saw that before, but it is nice that we get a double-sided face for that. That is, as far as I can tell, a new print. I think that could work for just about anyone. Even with the dimples, I think it's very cute looking, and it's nice to have an apple to go with her as well. So I think it's a pretty nice one, and definitely one that people would like to get in multiples to have more elves available for the Santa's workshop. And even previous elf figures, you know, the collectible minifigure series or the Winter Village set this year having a couple elves in it, I think would be a nice pairing, and always good to get more of those. So there we have my arrangement of Build-A-Minifigures from my local Lego store over the past couple of months. And honestly, these have been really enjoyable. Even some parts that I already have, it's nice to get in duplicates so that I can rearrange other figures or maybe make some groups out of them. I would like to get some of these in multiples, especially for things like tuxedo right here, maybe another sweater, maybe a few more elves. I think it would be really fun to just have a few more around to play around with in whatever scenes I want to create. And as I mentioned before, some of them are very thematic. They fit with the character very well, or the season they represent. So I think it's a very good arrangement on the part of the LEGO Store employees for putting these together. I have also seen some more varied arrangements. I know some other parts that have been available in other LEGO stores I have yet to see in my local listings. So I'm looking forward to seeing more. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you found any interesting parts in the Build-A-Minifigure section recently, despite everything going on this year. I'm glad there's still another option that you have for bringing minifigures and more parts into LEGO collections. We'll see you next time with more LEGO videos.